Hello and welcome to episode 447 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is the amazing actor Casper Van Dien. On today's episode, obviously we talk all about Starship Troopers, one of the greatest satire films of all time. But not only that, we get to talk about his most recent film where he got to work with Tom DeLonge as a film director for Monsters of California. The interview will be coming up in just a couple of minutes' time, and as always, you know the score by now. On every episode of Mark and Me, nothing changes. I always use the intro to quickly touch base and talk about my previous episode. It only came out a few days ago, and I was joined by the amazing band Hot Milk. I want to say now a massive thanks to everyone that listened. Their new album is out now. It's absolutely awesome. All the feedback was so good, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of you for taking the time to listen to that interview. But today, it's all about acting. It's all about the legend Casper Van Dien. So what I want to do now is to get straight to it. So here we both are, talking all things movies. Casper, welcome to the Mark and Me podcast.
Mark and you, it's
Mark and
welcome.
you.
Thank you, Mark and you and me.
It's good to
Me
see
and you.
I like your backdrop, but the listeners won't know what the hell's going on, but it looks brilliant.
Oh, thanks. It's my Rico's Roughnecks. I got my Monsters of California T-shirt on.
The
So
branding is perfect.
perfect. It's who I am.
You should send me a t-shirt and then I'll wear them on all my interviews and people are like, "What's that?" And I'll be like, "It's a brand new film coming out soon."
I got this one online. My wife actually bought it for me because she just does that. She does things like that for me. When I go to cons, sometimes I wear some of the Starship Troopers T-shirts, and I go, "I'm not wearing this T-shirt." She goes, "You wear that. Your fans are gonna love it." And I wear it, and people are like, "Oh, I love that you're wearing that." And I'm like, "My wife is
Damn it,
always
she's
right.
right.
Always
You
right."
should have known that by now anyway.
I do know that.
Always right. But what I wanted to do with today's interview is, for the listeners out there, before we talk about Monsters of California, is talk about the start really. And I was wondering, for the fans out there that have always supported your work, let's take it right back to the very beginning and when you were a kid. And I was wondering, was there a certain film that you grew up watching or that was given to you or you watched with your family that made you want to become an actor?
Oh my God, great question. I grew up in a military family,
Yeah.
but my parents were also educators, and they'd get me to read books and literature, and I had a hard time reading when I was a kid. I'm dyslexic,
Right.
severely dyslexic, so I even got held back in first grade because I couldn't read the simple books. So I had to overcome something and become a big reader, which I'm a big advocate of reading, and I think it's important. I think more people need to do it.
Yeah.
And but I think that got me into reading, and then seeing the movies that went along with it was fascinating for me. And then watching different films, of course I gravitated to Star Wars
The
and I
best. Yeah.
but also Star Trek when I was a kid. I watched the TV show and then, so I would watch all of it, but I'd also read the different books and I read Tarzan and I'd watch the Tarzan films and then later in life when you get to play some of the characters that you read or you watch the films of, it's really kind of surreal. So I've been very fortunate in that way, but I think it was just the fact that my parents introduced me to, Broadway and off Broadway and musicals and books and movies and shows, I think, and just always encouraged me to just, dream. And
Yeah.
I think that got me into it.
It's quite nice because I've been doing this podcast for nearly 9 years, and a lot of the actors I speak to, their parents never took their kind of career choice seriously. They'd always be like, "This isn't a real job. There's too much risk involved. So get a real job and then do the acting as a side job. And then if it happens, it happens. But at least you've got something to fall back on." But from a young age, were you always determined and focused that it was only going to be acting as your kind of number one
No, no,
priority?
no, I wasn't. I didn't think about that at all until I went to I even went to a military school. I thought I was going to go in the military like every male in my family, but my parents had introduced me to all this culture. introduced me to culture because even if you're in something else, they just wanted me to be well versed in literature and music and movies
Yeah.
and all that. So they wanted me to be a part of that. So, but I was geared towards going into the military. I went to a military school, then I went to university, and I went to a party school first, but I was gonna go. I thought I was going to take military scholarships and try to become a doctor. And my dad's the one that sat me down. He said, "Well, what do you want to do with your life?" And I said, "Well, I'd love to be an actor." And he said, "Why are you going to college?" I go, "Well, probably be a doctor, try to be a doctor and go into the military." And he goes, "Why?" And this is my military, 20 years service man father. And I said, "You're right, Dad." So I unpacked my car for college. I'd already gone a year, but I was going to go now and truly buckle down. Packed for California, drove out the next day with my mom, who drove out with me. Of course, after 6 months, my dad's like, "Well, you're not a big star. You're coming home yet?" And I
Why have you
go,
not got an Oscar, son? Yeah.
yeah. And I said, "No, I'm going to still stick it out." He goes, "Well, I just had to ask. So I'd make sure you're doing the right thing." So they've always encouraged me to be my own man. And they're like, "Well, when you do something good, that's on you, and when you do something bad, that's on you." And of course, when I do something good, it's still probably because of them, and when I do something bad, it is definitely because of me. So I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but the greatest gift I've got given was the chance to own them
Yeah.
and to own everything that I do. So I've been lucky that way. My parents have just supported me being me, and that's a gift. It's a gift.
I love it. And I love that he didn't kind of try and talk you out of it.
Yeah, no, he supported me doing this. I mean, they also supported me going to military school when I chose to go to military school. They're like, yeah, my mom also didn't necessarily want me to leave because I was leaving home at 16, but I went to military school and I lived there, and that's what I thought I was going to do. And then, each step of the way, they kind of seemed to support me. Are you sure? And they asked me the questions, but they let it be on me. So that's, I've been lucky that way.
Was there a point in your career that you felt was the turning point that people really started to take you seriously and you could turn around to your dad and now kind of justify your reasons for wanting to be an actor? And he was then kind of, I don't know, but was he like convinced at that point then, like, yep, okay, son, now you've proved to me that this was the right decision?
They're probably my biggest fans, so
Oh, that's lovely.
it's really, really unfair question. I've been very lucky. Everything I've done, they've been like, "Oh, it's awesome." I do a
Oh, I love
commercial.
that.
They've been supportive. I done this, of course, when I did Starship Troopers, that was huge, and my dad was just
Yeah.
super. But also, my dad's favorite uh, character, his idol when he was growing up, was Tarzan.
Yeah.
And when I got to play when I was the 20th Tarzan, his favorite was the sixth Tarzan, Johnny Weissmuller, who did 7 films. And that was my Tarzan because it was my dad's. My dad's my hero, and my dad's hero was Tarzan. My grandfather, his other hero, also built like ropes around the backyard so he could swing all the way around his yard, all the way up to the front, just like Tarzan. So when I got to play my hero's hero, it was really kind of epic
That's
and
really special, isn't it? It must have been like a real 360 moment.
yeah, it was pretty powerful. So, I mean, the movie didn't do as well as it should have, but still being the 20th Tarzan was um just uh just
Hey,
a gift,
you can say you've done it.
Yeah, I can say I was Tarzan. There's only been 23 of us, so that's not a lot. And Tarzan was written in 1912, and the first movie was 1918. So he was before Spider-Man, before Superman, before Batman, before Wonder Woman. He was one of the OG superheroes. So Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote that character. Well, I apologize. Let me put that on Do Not Disturb. I thought I had. Um, so that was an amazing experience for me to be Tarzan, and still a thrill. But Johnny Rico is one of the greatest thrills. I have people come up to me and tell me that inspired them to join the military, or that inspired them to be an actor, or it's the last movie they saw with their grandfather or their father. It's one that they connected with. Girls that come up to me and say, "I connected with my dad over that movie," and I'm like, "Wow, that's interesting." I mean, it's just, because of the satire in the movie, the dark, sick, perverse sense of humor, I think, is something that, some people missed when it first came out in America, but they didn't over in England. And it was brilliant the way they promoted it over there. And now the movie, people come up to me and go, "There's no way people didn't understand that it was satire." And I go, "You think?" You'd think,
You want to
especially,
bet? Yeah.
you read the book, it's not satire, and you read the script, and you go, "Oh my God, was this in the book?" You go back and read the book, and you go, "No, it's the script. That's Paul Verhoeven and Ed Newmeyer. Ed Newmeyer writing the script, Paul Verhoeven directing. If you watch any Verhoeven's films, you understand he has a kind of a sick, twisted, dark, very intense, intellectual. He's in the Mensa. He's a super genius. He's just this incredible director. But his mind is watching him and Ed Newmeyer talk is just for me. It's always impressive just to be around them because they're both brilliant men, and just well versed on so many different topics. And so you sit there and you're just in awe all the time. So when you're watching a script like this in the movie, sometimes I'd go, I don't know, Paul. And he goes, just trust me. And I'm going, and this guy, he knows what he's doing. So I trust him. And this movie still has legs, 28 years later.
It's
It's
insane.
still,
Like it stood the
yeah.
test of time so beautifully, and it's become a cult classic that whenever I go to and have seen Comic Con pictures or been at conventions, everyone still talks about it up there with like RoboCop for standing the test of time, The Crow, all these classics, and it always stands amongst them really proudly. And people, I don't think it's really dated. I watch it now and it still feels like it could have been made 5 years ago.
Yeah, I just saw Paul Verhoeven in Hague. My daughter and my wife and I and her boyfriend Johnny, we all went over to Hague and saw. Well, we were in Holland. We went over to the Hague just to say hey to him. Because yeah, I watched the movie just a month ago or something, and it's a really good movie. And I'm like, Paul, it's a great movie. I mean, I did the voiceover for two video games last year's, and then my God, my computer, and then and now I play the game. I go on Twitch and I play Casper. I play on Twitch as Casper Van Dien. I stream Starship Troopers Extermination, which is a 16-person shooter. I'm playing the game, doing quotes with people from the movie all the time. I mean, it's just like, and it's so much fun for me because these people get so excited. And then at the cons, they all show up at the cons, still dressed up in these uniforms, and and right now we're having a surge, and we're just going together a whole bunch for the castmates and I. We keep going around to different cons, and we're just more popular now than ever
It's
in
brilliant.
at the cons. And it's wonderful because people really they say this movie is unfortunately the political commentary is still probably even more relevant today than it ever was. And that's but it's intense. It gets people to talk, and I think that's smart filmmaking.
We better talk about Monsters of California, otherwise I'm going to get my ass kicked. And
Yeah.
what I was really intrigued by is what it was like working, obviously, with Tom DeLonge, and known for his music. Everyone absolutely worships his love of Blink 182 and the fact that he loves UFOs and everything to go with it. But I wonder what the first meeting was like when you actually got to sit down and think about what was coming.
Well, Paul, my directors are always been great, and then when
Yeah,
you meet Tom DeLonge, you're like, oh my God, okay, this guy's a music guy, so let's see what does. He's a musical genius,
yeah.
and he would come up to me in the scenes and go, "Hey Casper, in this scene," and he'd have the head plugs on, and he'd pull out one, and he'd go hand me one, and he'd go, "In this scene, you're going to be saying this and this, and this is going to happen, and this music." So each scene, he had the music already picked out what he was going to do, and he was going to play it in, and he was going to have it, and he describe what was going to happen in the scene and how the music was going to crescendo at this moment and do this. And he'd hand me the earplugs so that I could hear it on set while he's directing, while I'm in it, doing it. And I was like, this is incredible. And I've worked with some great directors, Robert Rodriguez and Paul Verhoeven and Tim Burton. I mean, I've worked with some incredible directors, and I come up with this guy who's doing this on set. I'm sure they all do their incredible things. So it's always amazing to be around different people. But he has a talent that way, and he also, oh my God, he'd send me like a video. He'd send me a text message, and he'd be like, "Don't show this to anybody. I get in a lot of trouble." And it'd be like some of the UFO stuff that hadn't come out yet. And then it was late, 2 years later, it was released, but he'd been sending it to me 2 years beforehand. And he's also telling me this things that you're saying here in this scene, this was actually said in the Pentagon when this guy was saying it to this guy. This is the actual speech he said. And I had to get clearance for this to be copied, to be put out. And I was like, awesome. So I was so into this when I was doing it. I was just excited. It was just so much fun to be around. He's very passionate. And yeah, he believes in all this stuff. And I love that he's that way. It made it so much more fun for me.
Were you a fan of his music before you accepted the
Of
script and
course.
everything? You've been
Yeah,
a big fan of kind of Blink 182 all your life?
of course, I was a fan of his music. I mean, he's a talented musician. He's just somebody that's been around. And my wife and I even went to a concert up in Tampa because I live in Florida. So we went to one of his concerts and hung out with him there too. It was just so much fun. So
He knows
he's
how to put a show on, doesn't he, with those guys?
he does know how to put a show on. He's all about the show and but he's that way on set. He's just intense. He's so excited about life and very passionate about that. And it's interesting because I watched a lot of Ancient Aliens and I was, I think that movies and music and anything that inspires people to think and think outside the box and imagine and to dream and to inspire them to go into whatever they're going to go into and be the best they can be and anything it's just I'm always in awe of people that have that kind of talent like him to do that with the music and then bring it into the directing part of it. It'd be interesting to see how people react in that way to him. I hope he gets the opportunity to do more. I think he's very talented.
I sometimes think you have a bit of a battle if you're known for being a musician and then you try and cross over to being a film director or an actor. And I know some people can do it really well, people like Jared Leto, and have gone on and been so famous. But I think sometimes the general public think you should stick in one lane and only be known for one thing. And I think it's sometimes a bit tough and a bit of an uphill struggle for some musicians that then try and be taken seriously in the film industry. And I think fair play to Tom, like going out there, proving himself, doing what he wants to do, getting it over the line. And I'm sure it wasn't an easy project to actually get finished. And I
No,
think it takes a
we were
lot of
doing
hard work.
and we were doing it at the end of well, at the not the end of COVID, because it's still going on,
Yeah.
but I mean, it was like we were still in the throes of it. We were just people were just starting to do things, but we had to do a lot of checks and balances and get tested and wear masks on set. So it was pretty, yeah, there was that aspect of it too. So there was a lot going on for him. So
So, what have you got coming up over the next kind of 6 to 12 months? People will be wanting to know on this podcast where they can see your next projects, or if you've been reading any scripts, or if you've accepted any new roles, or where it's
but
kind of going for you.
I filmed one thing that I had an NDA that I'm just dying to talk about that I can't talk about that's pretty awesome, and I'm excited about that one. Can't talk about that though.
No, that's
But
fair. What a tease.
it sucks worse for me because I finished that almost a year ago, and I can't talk about it yet. But then I also have I have a series I did called Dope Unit that I finished, and then I stream Starship Troopers Extermination. I play it with fans and stuff like that on Twitch, and I'm got a couple other things that are coming soon. We'll see. I just had a Western that came out right now, and called Guns of Redemption. It's out on demand. People can see. That was a lot of fun to do. I got to ride around on a horse a lot, and I was with Sean Astin and Jeff Fahey, and that was a lot of fun to do. So that's out right now. And then I'm going to a whole bunch of different cons this year too, and we'll see what comes up next.
Would it be
Just
long
didn't.
until we see you in the UK? Is there any dates in the diary, or have we got to wait until?
I just did one in Liverpool,
Lovely.
and that was amazing. I did it with Denise Richards, Dina Meyer, Michael
Oh
Ironside.
yeah, I saw some pictures. Monopoly events, wasn't it?
Yeah, Monopoly events.
Yeah.
So we just did that, and three of the moderators that I have on my stream, I've got to meet them for the first time. They were there. We did a screening of Starship Troopers there, so it was kind of fun. And it's that movie's been in my life for so long now. It's been huge for me. So it's I wouldn't have gotten Tom DeLonge's movie if it hadn't been for that movie. So it's just there's so many movies that I can attribute back to that. So I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for all the fans for coming out to that kind of stuff. So it's pretty awesome.
It's not going to go away either. I think we'll still be having these conversations in 20 years' time. People will still be saying, I absolutely adore this film. I can't believe that some people didn't believe it was satire. That still blows my mind, but that's the world we
Dude,
live in.
I just did a cameo 2 days ago, and somebody said, "Look, our friend doesn't believe that Starship Troopers was a satire. He believes that it's straightforward." And I go, he goes, "Can you please just can you shame him a little bit and do this?" And I go, I said in the camera, I'm like, literally, I cannot believe this is happening. This has got to be a joke. Your friends, you got to please contact me and tell me that this is a joke because if you do not know that Starship Troopers is a satire at this point in time, you can look. I go, it is. I go. He goes, they 100% did not shoot it as a satire, is what his friend said. And I said, you're so wrong. Read the book and then read the movie script, and you can see in the script that it is satire. In the script, they have all the "Do you want to know more?" and all the propaganda things in the script. It's in the script.
That's mind-blowing. I'm conscious we've only got a couple of minutes left, so what I wanted to ask was, with this podcast, Casper, I ask every guest to choose a song that they want played at the very end. So when this is all edited, it'll go on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But at the very end of the podcast, every guest that comes on, I've done this for 9 years, gets to choose the last piece of music that's played. So I am going to put you on the spot. It's not easy, but is there a song that means a lot to you personally that you would love to be played at the end of today's interview?
Yes, Clendathu Drop by Basil Palmadoris, which was in Starship Troopers. He did it, and so you can do the Clendathu Drop. It's on there. You'll get it. It's called Clendathu Drop. It's by Basil Palmadoris. He did all the music for Starship Troopers.
I love
There
how
you go.
quickly you knew that. Like, bam, some people are like, give me 5 minutes, and they're thinking on the spot, they're pulling their phones out, they're kind of checking songs that means a lot to them. You were just like, bang, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you so much for
And
coming on the
and it,
podcast.
it's a great but it's not like hip hop music or anything like that.
No,
It's
no,
it's
it's good. It's and people will then be like, oh, I remember this song, and then go and check out the score and listen to the soundtrack again, and then
great. It's great score. And Basil is no longer with us, unfortunately. But his
oh,
daughter Zoe Palladors is a musician on her own. She sang the Maisie Day song in the movie. It was also gonna but she's also a musician, and so she's also in that. But the Clendathu Drop is the one I think you should do. And if you can't get that, I would
I'll
do
find it. Don't
blues.
you worry, I will find it. It's a
We
challenge.
could do a Blink 182 song if you want. But, but there you
Brilliant.
go.
Thank you,
Right.
Casper. Good luck with the rest of the press. Deb,
You
thanks for
too.
everything, and I'll speak to you all soon. So there's my interview with me and Casper. Always a bit short. I can't moan. I'm very grateful when they do press tours, but I'm always wishing I had that little bit longer. But for the time we had, we covered loads. It was really positive, really great, and I had a great time. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as me, and as we talked on this episode, you can go and check out his performance in Tom DeLonge's directed film, the one, the only, Monsters of California. If you've enjoyed today's episode, as always guys, all I ask in return for these free episodes that will always remain free is just to share it. You all have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You all have a friend, you all hopefully have families. Just tell someone you know to go and listen to this. I'm sure people will know Casper from Starship Troopers, but just tell them to go and check out Mark and Me. I see so many people share it on their stories on Instagram, so many people retweet it, even people put it on their Facebook, and it really does go a long way. So if you have enjoyed today's episode, please take the time just to share it, and I really do appreciate each and every one of you that takes the time to do that. I do have a Patreon as well, so if you do want to support the podcast, all you have to do is go on to markandme.com. There's a link on there. You can sign up and support me for as little as £1 a month. I know it's tough. I know times are hard. I know even the price of a chomp now is about 70p. But if you can help Mark and Me in any way on Patreon, all the money goes right back into the kitty of Mark and Me. It allows me to go out there and record interviews for you guys at home. Stuff like festivals that are coming up, all of it's paid for thanks to you guys by supporting me on Patreon. Right, before I go, I want to give a shout out to the two sponsors of Mark and Me. First of all, Vice Press. If you guys want anything to do with collectible film posters, prints, or just incredible merchandise, if you go on their site vicepress.com and add the discount code MarkandMe10, that's the number 10, you'll get yourself 10% off that first purchase. And secondly, the amazing Richer Sounds. You guys love home cinema, you love good speakers, you love headphones. Go and visit any of their high street stores, or if you can't make it to any of their shops, go to richersounds.com and treat yourself to something wonderful. They won't be beaten on price. They have a VIP club you can sign up to save even more money, and I'm so grateful to the sponsors of Mark and Me. I'll be back in a couple of days' time with a brand new episode of Mark and Me. I can't wait to share it with you all. And remember, if you're travelling to 2000 Trees this weekend, I'm going to be live on stage with Coed in Cambria. I really can't wait to see how that turns out, especially after the success of Frank Turner last year. So hopefully I'll see some of you there. Well, I'm going to go now. I've got more editing to get on with. So what I'm going to say now is, as always, keep yourself safe, look after each other, and I'll see you all very soon.